Hi y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessica Lang. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. This channel here, I talk about all things attachment, the brain, trauma, healing. And today I just wanted to get on quickly and just talk about what's going on in our world right now. 2020 has not been great for most of us. It started with COVID-19 and the changes in the life stressors that have accompanied that experience, as well as fears and anxieties about getting sick and people passing away, and culminating with most recent events here in the present moment, which is, the end of May, beginning into June, where we all, I can't think of anybody who watched the video of George Floyd being murdered by police. I don't know anybody who has not seen that video, but we all witnessed that as a country, as U.S. citizens. People even around the world have witnessed that, and the protests that are also going along as a result of watching the police murder George Floyd, who was crying for help and saying he couldn't breathe and they just didn't care. And how that collective trauma not only definitely hits my community as an African American or Black American, I use the terms pretty interchangeably, but I think also just anybody who's human in general can't watch that without having a visceral reaction. And for years, the Black community has been talking about racial injustice, has been talking about police brutality, and we have been talking about this as a community for years, and allies have been talking about this for years, if not decades, if not centuries, and nobody's taken us as a community serious. And I think just having this on the back of people still coping with COVID, our stress response systems, I talk about that all the time on this channel. We're already, kind of stuck in high arousal in our limbic system, high emotions, lots of fear. So to see something like this, I think has sent a lot of folks just completely over the edge. And I don't really have any words of wisdom other than just hurting. And we all deal with our hurt and our pain in different ways. Some people, it spurs them into action. They want to take action, and that's wonderful and that's amazing, and I think everybody should take action. And I'll put some links in the description box below so you can kind of find some resources and do what you need to do if that's where you are right now as you try to cope with what's going on with seeing that video. And I can't even help but think that when I saw the video, it was when I saw George Floyd murder on video. The day before was Amy Cooper, who threatened to call the police on a Black male who asked her to put her dog on a leash in the park, which most places require that you have your dog on a leash in public. So I'm not entirely sure why she was arguing or being defiant about that, but and hearing discourse about that, and people being like, oh, well, we don't know what happened before, and people being like, well, she could have got that man killed, yada yada. I mean, really looking at the discourse around that. And then the next day is when I saw the video of George Floyd getting murdered by the police, and it was just like, constantly being slammed. And so, that's just kind of where I think we all are, is just, we're all struggling with this very real reality and the powerlessness of what can I do? How do I help? How do I stop this type of injustice? And so again, if you are one of those people who at this particular moment, you're seeing this, you're able to kind of stay, pretty regulated up in your cortex. Yeah, I'm throwing out the therapy facts. I can't help myself. And it spurs you into action. That's amazing. That's great. Take action. And then there's other folks where it is completely painful to watch. It's painful to talk about. It's painful to see. And so if someone brings it up, you might become, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but you might be angry and want to argue, and not because you're mean or you hate people, but because you're overloaded emotionally because the pain is so raw, it's so real, that that's your stress response system talking. And so, and recognizing that you might be there, you might be in the I just can't take it phase, and that you might need to take a couple steps back and, ask for some space, or, figure out your own way to kind of process the events. Maybe find your community, whatever that looks like for you, people you can talk with about this, where you feel like you don't have to explain things, or you might feel like you need to retreat further into yourself, or retreat it again further into your community. All of those things are viable options to kind of cope with the trauma that we all just experienced, and that no one's way of coping and managing is better than anyone else's. The important thing is that you're just listening to your own body and what your own needs are. And so I just kind of wanted to throw that information out there. I don't know if it's going to be particularly helpful. I personally, it's very painful to watch. It's painful to talk about. And so I have to take a step back. And so I have my own visceral reaction to kind of go inward and, numb out a little bit or dissociate a little bit, find something that I can kind of retreat into, so that I don't have to feel it so much. And that's me as a therapist. And so, we all have our ways. Nobody's immune from this. We all are going to have our own responses. But the one thing I don't want people to do is to be hateful and to go into Black spaces and try to tell them what is racist and, talk about, I can't, as I'm thinking of examples, I'm getting activated of things that I've heard people say where they kind of minimize the experience or dismiss, what other people are feeling, or throwing out, well, the protesters this, and all these kinds of things to deflect. And I understand, some people are just racist and they're awful and they thrive on other people's pain. And there's other people who do it because there's a real cognitive dissonance that's going on, for white folks who you cannot deny what you saw, and it reminds me a lot of Dr. Joy DeGruy's work about post-traumatic slave syndrome. I highly recommend everybody read that book. She has videos on YouTube of her lectures. Listen to it. Because if you really want to understand the African American experience, particularly in this moment in time, look at that, read that book, watch her videos, because she talks about trauma and the confines of the legacy of slavery, and how, it never really ended. And if you look at an event like this, right, where this man the police were called out because they thought he passed a counterfeit $20 bill. Really? $20? Really? And there's people who are stealing thousands and millions from people. They're not dying. But $20 bill that was forged, I don't know. But you're that mad or you're that aggressive, you can't contain yourself. You murder somebody who's like, I can't breathe, who's not even resisting. Why you do all that, And so that's the reality of, it's like, it's two different systems, and the police are there in theory to protect and serve, but they're not protecting African Americans. They're not serving African Americans. And they haven't been. Even the creation, if you look in history of the police, was all around protecting white folks from Black people. It wasn't really ever meant to protect and serve Black people. And so there's that part of our history too, and stuff that's not talked about. And so, I'm tired. I'm in pain. I know a lot of my community feel the same way. We don't have the time or the patience or the energy to talk with white people, be patient with you as you try to learn. It's on you to do your own research, not look to us, particularly and I'm saying us in terms of like your friends and your family, to try to explain things. You got to do the work yourself. And there's just so many resources out there. And again, I'll link them in the description box so you can actually listen to them, listen to these resources, read, educate yourself, and you're going to be uncomfortable. And that's part of any growth, really, right? We got to get a little uncomfortable in order for us to grow. We can't continue to do things in the way that have always been done because it hurts people, and people are really hurting right now. And so I don't have any words of wisdom. I initially was going to get on here and spew out some words of wisdom and talk about maybe self-care tips or things like that, but it doesn't feel right, because I think the thing that you need to do, who's watching this video, is to listen to your body, as painful as that is, and attend to your needs. And if you can take a day off because you need a day off from work, I encourage you to do it. If you want to get active and you want to learn, check out the resources that I'm going to put in the description box. Do your own research, and educate yourself. Become an ally. Change systems, not just at the national level, but at your local level. Change those systems. Reflect on how you treat people who don't look like you. How do you treat people of color? Whether you're a therapist or, you're a professional, or you think you're woke, or whatever it is. What are your biases that you have and stereotypes that you hold to be true when you engage with people in the world? If you need to set your boundaries with other people and say, I'm not talking about this, or please don't show videos, it's triggering, do that. If you need to take some time, get lost in a book, get lost in TV because it's just overwhelming and it's painful and it hurts, do that. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. But don't stay too long in it. You want to do it with some awareness and some intent, because, traumas, especially repeated traumas, like watching people die, they impact us, and we can try to stuff it down, but then it'll come up in some kind of way. And so even though I want you to take care of yourself and do what's right for yourself, I also want you to do it with intention. And so you don't end up with any lasting harmful effects as a result. So that's all I have for you all today. Really just wish, I don't even have anything to say to end this video nicely, other than just take care of yourself. Love yourself, love your family, your friends, take care of each other, practice some compassion for yourself, and if you want to be an ally, please do the work, and don't put your desire to learn more on the Black folks in your circle. It's not their job to tell you about all things Black. You're gonna have to do that work and get uncomfortable. So that's all I have for you guys today. I wish everyone the best. Stay healthy, take care of yourselves, be patient, and I'll see you in the next one.